Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back. I'm Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host of this episode of the Networking RX. Thanks again for listening, subscribing, and referring others, and certainly thanks for the comments and questions you've sent in. Once again, those comments and questions prove to be an indicator that we need to continue to explore things in more detail. With that, I want to reflect back on a program I did. It was episode 112, which I released on October 8th of 2019. And the title of that program was 3 Reasons You're Not Getting Referrals. And in that, I provided some insight and perspective as to the general reasons why you might not be getting all the referrals you'd like. And I suggested some fixes to those. There were the 3 reasons, simply put, are 1, you lack relationship. You lack know, like, and trust. People don't know you well enough. They don't like you, or maybe haven't made a determination yet that they like you, or there's something where trust is lacking. It might be a lack of time that they haven't been able to make that conclusion, or maybe there's something you're doing that's preventing them from trusting you. The second is that they're unable to recognize opportunities for you. They know, like, and trust you, but they have no idea as to what would be a good referral opportunity for you, or information or a contact that would be helpful to you. So that's the second thing. And the third is they're unsure as to how to engage others in conversation about you. So they know, like, and trust you, and they can spot opportunities for you, but they really don't know how to bring that up in a conversation with somebody they would like to connect to you or refer you as a client. Today, what I want to talk about is that second thing, the inability of having people recognize opportunities for you. They're unable to recognize opportunities for you, I should say. And I want to kind of talk about things that you can do to help people recognize opportunities for you. Again, if you want to listen to that earlier episode, it's episode 112, which was released on October 8th, 2019. At any rate, here are 5 ideas for helping others recognize opportunity for you, to help you achieve recognition. The first thing I recommend to people, and I talk about this a lot in the world of AmSpirit Business Connections, is don't share what it is you do, share when you do it. And I will pick on realtors often because people understand real estate. But when a realtor tells me, I'm a realtor, I help people buy and sell houses, that's what they do. And that's important. It's important to certainly convey what you do. But if you're a realtor, if you're most professions, people understand the what. They understand the what of an attorney, representing people with respect to their legal problems or their legal needs. They understand a financial advisor, helping people to save for retirement, to plan to put kids through college, to help them become more comfortable in their financial situation. Those are whats. The important thing to talk about, however, in getting people to recognize opportunity is when you do it. So again, going back to the realtor, the what is they help people buy and sell houses. The when, however, is when it happens. If you know somebody who's had a child and they're living in an apartment, that might be a win. Or really anybody living in an apartment. Somebody spending a lot of money, somebody complaining about rent, high rent, that's a win. If you know somebody who has indicated, hey, we just married off our last child, or all our kids are graduated from college, out in the working world, that can be a win. That's a win. People might be looking to downsize. Don't want to care for a yard, just get into a condo or have a smaller house. Or maybe it's an opportunity to upsize. They've got money now, they don't have kids in college, they want to do something unique. Maybe they want to get a vacation property, but that can be a win. Or somebody who's talking about being nervous in the stock market, or somebody who's talking about maybe trying to diversify their investment portfolio and wanting to get into some investment property, somebody talking about that. That can be a win for a realtor. Everybody in business has a what they do, but they have lots of wins. When do they do it? And I always tell people, if you stop and think about the clientele that you have, everybody's a little different and everybody speaks to a win. And if you can encapsulate that and share that with the people in your network, hey, if you see this, when you hear this, those are opportunities to refer me in. So that's the first thing. Don't talk about what you do, talk about when you do it. With the second item, I'm going to give you an assignment. You need to go back to episode 35, which came out on February 26, 2019, and the title of that is The ABCs of Asking for Referrals. Go back and listen to that. That is a deeper dive into what I'm going to encapsulate right now. But to get people to recognize opportunities, you need to be able to talk about your ABCs. And when I say ABCs, and again, if you go to episode 35, it really explains it. But when I talk about your ABCs, don't just talk about the big client that you want to have, the big introduction that you need to have. Those are the A's, the things that don't happen that often. I want somebody with $1 million 401k. Those things don't happen that often. Talk about the B's. What are the things that you see? I'm not saying don't talk about the A's. Don't always talk about the A's. Talk about the B's. What are the typical things? You're a financial advisor. What do you see from time to time? I'm generally working with families that are getting started out and they may have less than $100,000, but I get them on the path of taking advantage of their retirement plans, their 401ks, investing, saving for college, the whole 9 yards. If that's what you see, that's kind of your B. And certainly talk about your B's when you're referring to what's. There are different types of B's that are out there, B being the letter B. And then the final thing is the C. The C is that thing that you're not excited about per se, but you're willing to do it. You know, if somebody's got $3,000 and they're just getting started, or they're just going to start with $100 a month, that's a C. That's a C referral. So, I'm willing to do that. I'm not excited about it per se, but I grow those people into B clients and then ultimately A clients. Talk about, get your network understanding what your A's and your B's and your C's are. Take the time to go through and explain those to them. And obviously, I've used a financial advisor as an example. You may not be a financial advisor. If you are, you're lucky because you've heard it. But you might have a different profession, but you have A's, B's, and C's. Sit down with somebody. Be open to hearing their A's, B's, and C's, but share what yours are. Give them a big picture as to what you're looking for. Give them a big net that they can kind of draw from. Chances are they'll run into a lot of C's, maybe a few less B's, and maybe an A, but infrequently. But if you give them kind of a big surface area to aim at, you'll find something. The next thing I want to talk about is giving examples. How often do you give examples of how they can recognize referrals for you or good contacts on, let's say, social media or just in the real world? Examples are important. We tend to talk in abstract. Good referral for I was an attorney. Good referral for me are people who need legal help, who need some representation, business representation with respect to the law. That's great, but it doesn't really help them. Again, it gets back to the what and not the when. But use examples. Use examples, and this will be a differentiator between the fourth thing I'm going to talk about. But examples are just general notions of what to look for. I'm an attorney. If you know of a client that needs a lease reviewed, that would be a good referral for me. That's an example. It's really painting a picture for somebody. And you might say, hey, you might have them see it on social media. Somebody saying, hey, we're looking to get office space, or we're outgrowing our space. And that might be something that you reach out to them, certainly in a private message, and say, hey, are you looking for an attorney to help you through this? And that may not be the best example, but it's a best example of using an example. But you get the idea. You just don't want to throw out just notions of what you do. You want to it's more than just what you do, but when you do it, but provide certainly examples to that. And that leads into the fifth. And the fifth thing is share stories. When I say share stories, obviously you need to be careful. You don't want to reveal confidences or who your clients are per se. But when you share stories, it really paints a picture for somebody. What I mean by stories, saying, hey, listen, here's somebody that I helped last week. They were having trouble getting financing. And these were the problems. Boom, 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 boom. And these are the things that I have helped set them in motion. And in 3 months, their credit is going to be such that we'll be able to get them financing. Or I had somebody come to me and they were having trouble getting life insurance. They were having trouble getting life insurance because they had this particular condition. This is what we did. And I was able to get out there and I was able to shop it and help them get life insurance. Those are things that helps people recognize opportunities, because when you use examples, or the fifth thing, when you tell stories, either one of those two things, when you do those things, it gets people's mental Rolodexes going. You're talking about that story, and their mind can't help but go through and say, okay, who do I know who fits this story or fits this example? It's going through their minds. I've got a friend and they've got a condition too, and I wonder if they've had problems getting life insurance. I need to talk to them about that. I need to hook you up with that person somehow, some way. And that's a whole nother discussion as to how that can be done. But using stories, using examples are a powerful means of helping you achieve recognition with your network, recognizing opportunities for you. And then the final thing with respect to achieving recognition is getting people understanding what types of businesses or professionals would you like to be connected with, would you like to meet to help build your sphere of influence. Yes, referrals are great. Being referred to somebody who has a check with your name on it is awesome. Those are wonderful opportunities. It's not always that easy. And getting people to recognize opportunities, it might not necessarily be that person who's the decision maker, but it might be the person who knows the person, or the person who knows the person who knows the person. Again, if you've listened to these podcasts, I released an episode several months ago. In fact, it was one of the first episodes I released. It was episode 9, which I released back on October 23rd of 2018. Again, we're going way back at this point, called Productive Networking Shots. But in there, I analogized networking to the game of golf, and that golf is about knocking a little ball down a field, down a fairway, shot after shot after shot. And networking is kind of the same thing. Networking is not a series of 6-inch putts. Networking is long drives, smaller shots, strategically positioning, and it's the same thing. It's when you're getting people to try and recognize opportunities, you need to help them to recognize that within their network, they can help you move down the metaphorical fairway from one person to the next. I don't know anybody in the medical profession, but I know this accountant that does a lot of work with people in the medical profession. I'm going to connect you with them. And then that connection leads to another connection, which leads to another connection, which leads to the 6-inch putt. So, things you need to do to help you achieve recognition of what it is you're looking for. Talk about not what it is you do, but talk about when you do it. Become familiar. Help your network become familiar with what your ABCs are. Certainly learn theirs, what your ABCs are, what's a great client, what's kind of a typical client, and what's kind of a ho-hum client, but you're willing to work with them. Again, you can go listen to episode 35 with respect to that. The next two, 3 and 4, provide examples. Again, provide examples and share stories. Providing examples and sharing stories are important because it gets people's mental Rolodexes kind of sifting through the people that they know, And then the final thing with respect to achieving recognition is getting people in your network familiar with the types of professionals and businesses that could help build your sphere of influence. Finally, to wrap up, remember AmSpirit Business Connections has a unique franchise opportunity that involves helping small business professionals become more successful through a referral-based networking program. It only involves a couple hours in the morning, a few days a week, and would be a great franchise for an attorney, accountant, realtor, business coach, or consultant of any kind to add on to what they're already doing and get better networked at the same time. Why just be a renter when you can own the building? So why just be in a business network when you can own that business network? If you or someone you know would like to learn more, please contact me or have them contact me using the email at the end of the podcast or the one we provide in the show notes. Or if you would, email them and email me on the same email connecting us, and we can take it from there. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.